Hey everyone, back for a quick update. Try to keep this one 5 minutes or less, or maybe a little more, who knows. Anyway, this is part 2 to my Glock in Wesson. I don't call it an update, a project, or whatever, but it's actually, I don't know if I should call it a Smith and Palmetto or whatever, but it's based on the Glocks. I'm calling it a Glock in Wesson. It's based off of the PSA Dagger. This is the compact, like a G19 size frame. And what I'm doing is I had a leftover slide laying around, and this has already been all adjusted. And let me see if that'll focus in there. And all polished out. So that functions correctly. I don't get any dead trigger or anything like that on it. When you get these frames and they're not mated to a slide from, the factory or from Palmetto, you do have to do your own adjustments on this to get this to fire and release and reset and everything like that. And it's all basically in this area. Usually you move it over that way, and and there's like a little nub. They have a little nub that's raised up over here that's made for Gen 4, and obviously I'm using a Gen 3 slide or Gen 3 platform or format. So I ground that off because this just created a drag point on the side of the inside of the rail of the slide. Anyway, getting to it, there's my PSA Dagger, and this is an FDE, okay? And now I'm going to show you the slide I've been working on. There's an update on it. Here's the slide, and this is I'll put that aside for the moment. This is a Smith & Wesson SDVE slide, and I had it laying around, and I said, you know something, I'm going to do some research on this, and I'm going to repurpose this and make it work. Why? Well, because I had it laying around, it wasn't doing anything, it was a spare, and I didn't want to go out and spend another $350 for a used Glock slide. And you know something, this looks better, it's stainless steel, and I have the ability to do it, and why not? I decided not to be lazy and get it done. So here we go. So anyway, I'm going to show you an original slide. This is clear. This is another one. This is just a 40, not the VE. Let me take all this apart. Got that. And I'll take all these components out real quick just to get them out of the way. Okay, so put those over here too. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison. Here's the problem. When you put this slide, now this won't go on there. When you put this on this frame originally, you had this overhang. When this goes back, it's supposed to go like something like that flush, okay? All right, it's supposed to be like this. You had this big overhang over here. So this is not straight up and down like a Glock slide. This has a slope, and that whole area in there, but you can't really see it, but this big giant thing was in there, but this, it's like a big fin. There's only so much. You see where those grooves are right there and right there where this striker cover actually snaps into place. The rest of this is just style. You don't even need it. You just can cut it just above that to leave enough so you could reattach. You don't cut into your rail that this rides into, and you could square it off like a Glock slide. So that's what I did with this one. This is the one for the project. As you can see, I chopped it down, made it like a Glock profile. So it's one of the modifications I had to do just to get it to fit. So that's all set, and there's your rail inside of here. Other modifications, let me get my little pointy thing here. As I said in my last video, we have this area in here. I'm going to put these side by side for comparison. You can see right there the difference in the length in this area. You can see how much shorter this slide is, and these are the same slides. This one's just a SD40. This is a VE because it's stainless steel, or whatever it is, the value edition, or whatever you want to call it. But these are flush, and I can square those up with a magazine. Let's unload it also. Okay. All right. So now you can see the back. All that extra overhang was chopped off. Well, more than that. I cut it off. I actually patted the vise, put this in a vise, and I used a cutting wheel on a DeWalt grinder. And I carefully, after taking very careful measurements, took a little, then went to a certain point, then I finished the rest off with a rasp or a hand file, and I got it down there. So let me pick this up. You can see how much material was actually removed. Come on. So you see the ends. See that tail? That much was taken off. So it's almost like, there you go. This is a better show and tell. You can see the difference now. Maybe I should put this one on top. So this is straight down like a Glock slide now, and this one still has that profile on it. So basically I had to go from top to bottom, draw a straight line, and you see, something like that. And this is what I come up with. So anyway, you saw that. But now let me show you some of the other modifications. But this took quite a bit of work, and I wouldn't want to do this as a regular thing, but I did it only because, like I said, I knew I could. I had the slide, and I was damned to make it work. Now this looks rough, but it's actually very smooth in there. I smoothed it out. I'm going to give this more polish. I actually hit this finally with some 2000 grit sandpaper just to get any burrs out of it. But let me see. Ready? Boom, 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 boom. Put these side by side, and bring this up a little more. Okay. I had to cut this channel out right here. You had to get this. This is like a reset. I'm sorry. This hump right here, which is the trigger bar reset or the trigger reset, this will not go on the Glock style slide if this is on there. You have to actually machine this part off. So I actually converted my drill press into a lathe or a mill, and actually got a milling bit, and I invested in one milling bit to do this job. I believe it was a 1/8 inch mill bit that was made for non-forest metals, and I carefully lowered it down, cut here until I got enough off, and I could just get the slide past it till the trigger bar, which is right there, would pass, and it would go on, and also still have engagement for the reset. So there you go. There's a little nub that's left over there. It's very smooth, so when that reset goes over, it jumps out, and it hops out, and has perfect movement. The other modifications, the inside of the slide, was in this area right here. You can see there's a nub right there that is no longer here. And that, when I was trying to rack the slide back, and I found this out by taking it off, trying to fit it, looking at it, trying to figure it out. Why isn't this going back? And what's happening is this was hitting the block right over here in the ejector. So that had to go. So I took that off, and that actually duplicates exactly the interior contours of a Glock slide right now, with the differences. On a Glock slide, they have a more of a extended reset over here, but this will absolutely work, and I already have reset the trigger on it. Okay, so I had to mill that off. I just took the cutting mill, I plunged it down to this point, then I locked it down, and then I slowly worked it back and forth until I got that off. Then I finished it off with some hand files, and some heavier grit, maybe some 80 grit sandpaper. Then went up to 1,000 and 2,000 grit sandpaper, and there's absolutely no drag whatsoever. It's absolutely smooth as a baby's butt right now. And I smoothed all this up in here, all this up in here, and I smoothed out the striker a little bit, the striker plunger blocker, and that's actually going to get a lighter spring kit in it later on. But anyway, had to machine this area, had to machine that area, and then to make it fit the slide, I had to machine back over here. Up front, this is the original front sight. I just put some red paint in it. I kept that steel, and as you know, the SDVEs or whatever, they have a plastic rear sight. I had an extra M&P 2.0 rear sight, steel, in my parts bin, so I reused that for this, and I have a steel sight in the back, so now you get a nice contrasting. You get the red dot. You're not going to be able to see it. Is it going to focus? No, it's only going to focus on the rear. But you get a really nice sight picture with the red dot and then the white dots. As you can see, this is nice and smooth. Now, the other problem I was facing is there's an end cap, and it was sticking out. Let me see if I have the other one real quick. Where are you? Back in the bag? Oh, no. I don't. Geez. Do I have one? All right, I'll use this for an example. Just for an example, because this isn't worth anything. By the way, I got this, and it's a shame I wanted to use it, but this is the striker cover, and it was from China, and I tried to make it work, and all I did was make it worse, but I tried to make it deeper, so when you put this on, it would lock in, and the striker would hold it. It wouldn't. It kept popping off. It was junk. It was just made wrong, and I had to file it and everything to get it to fit. But anyway, just for an example, I'm just going to put this on here. Get in there. And you can see how much it sticks out. So I'm like, well, that's not going to work. Because now I have this cut down. This is designed to go with the original contour. So now, yeah, that would look really good, right? I could start a fashion statement. So I had to cut that down. So I had another one that was actually really good. It was aluminum. I sacrificed it, and they ordered another one. And let me see. So then I got another one, and I milled one down. So I milled this one down, and this one is a high quality one. I think it's, I forget who makes this one. NTZ or NTB, or I'll have to find out and put it in the description later on. So anyway, I took it, I filed it. Of course, I patted my vise, I patted it, and I filed it. And I had to file off a ton to get it down to contour. So basically, you went from this to that. And I'll show you the fit. And I custom fit it for this slide. So now you take it, put it in there, and now that's what you got. Now you're in business. Now you got something. It's nice and smooth. It fits perfectly fine. And I did have, there's a little discoloration. It's very minor. You can barely notice that. And that's only because when I was originally cutting, I had a couple of scores on it. And I had to take some, I cleaned it, I fluxed it, and I actually took some non-lead solder, and I soldered it into it just to fill the little divots and stuff like that. And then I smoothed it all out nice. So that's fine. I mean, that gets a definite pass. So there's your side contour. You got no raised edges. Fits perfectly in there the way it should, and that will, I already confirmed it's going to lock in. There's a better look at that. As your reset bar, or reset hump, whatever you want to call it. And like I said, you can see how smooth that is. So any of the little, I mean, I did it on my drill press. There's only so much I could do, but it does not affect function, okay? And it's not rough at all. It's very, very smooth. There's no hang up on there at all or anything like that. But there you go. There's your rear plate. So that solved that. You can look at it from this side too. And then from the top. So there you go. So now I have a nice matching rear plate. So that being said, let me put the components, put that over here, back in the slide, and I will do a dry fit for you on the frame. Okay. Down, she's down, she's down. Okay, so now and there you go. Cycle. Put a magazine in. Here's your Glock 23 magazine. You get slide lock. There's your rear fit. I think she looks pretty good. She's coming along. I think that my, yeah, I'm not trying to flag you. I'm just giving you a profile. This is as clean as a whistle. Absolutely beautiful. Sorry, Masada Ayub. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I just know that every time a slide slams home, a kitty cat cries. But there she is, and we're getting there. Now if I want to do this, let me see. I'll dry fit this just for the heck of it, because I don't have my firing pin prepared yet. Let me bring this back. So there you go. There it is with that in place. And that's, of course, is going to be held up in place like that. And that's going to be your rear. You know, this is literally the pistol that Smith & Wesson should have made, instead of screwing around with that stupid, unfixable trigger in the SD40, in the SD9, the SD series. That whole Sigma thing. I mean, I looked into it, and there was no way, unless you literally re-engineered the whole trigger group, like the whole SEER package. I think rumor has it that on their 2.0, that's only available so far in 9mm, as far as I know, was able to overcome that. I think that they put a whole new trigger setup with it, with the traditional like flapper type of a SEER setup. And they got away from that funky, vertical SEER setup that they had before. But this is what I got so far, people. And now I just got to work on the firing pin. Once I mill out the firing pin, actually, I didn't want to sacrifice one of my good Smith & Wesson firing pins. So what I did is I bought a, that's going to go up like that. That will sit up when the spring's in, that'll fit in nice and full. I actually bought a new Glock firing pin. It was an aftermarket firing pin, but I think it was like, maybe it was $18 or $20 or something like that, and it comes with a spring and the spring cups and whatnot. So I will take that and I'll modify that to work in here. The only thing you have to do to that is the this profile. This is a Smith & Wesson firing pin. You'd have to actually reprofile this, and you basically ruin a good firing pin for nothing. With a Glock one, they have more of a popsicle stick, for lack of a better term, shaped firing pin that protrudes here. Can I get that to focus? Okay. And what I can do is take a file, a couple of licks with a file. I can reprofile just the tip a little bit, and then reuse the cups, the spring. Well, this spring's not going to get reused. They have a spring kit coming for it. And the rest of these plastic parts that go on it, install them with the Glock firing pin after I do the little modification, reshaping of the tip that actually protrudes through the firing pin channel that goes into the breech. and then I should be ready to go to the range. So here we go right now. Oops, of course that fell off. We don't do edits here. That fell off because there's nothing holding it in. But there we go. And we got nice mag drop. Oop, let me unlock it. Working good. We're almost there. If you guys have any questions about what I had done, and I'm not doing any of this on camera because I'm not, I know YouTube's got its things about modifying firearms or doing this or doing that or doing any kind of work. Even if you clean your pistol or whatever, someone has a conniption fit in the algorithm world. But that's why I'm showing you the after and kind of explaining. Well, in a nutshell, there we are. There is my Glock & Wesson SD40 Glock. What do you want to call it? I mean, should I call it a Glock & Wesson? Should I call it a Smith & Dagger? Smith & Dagger, maybe? I think I'll put that back in there. Only because it looked cool, just for now. Should I call it a Smith & Dagger, or should I just call it a Glock & Wesson? I want this to... There you go. I don't want it to go back and slam me. What do you think, guys? Leave everything in the comment section. Should this be the Smith & Dagger, or a Glock & Wesson, or should I just call it a bastard child of the firearms world? But no, I really like the look of this, and I actually ordered another frame because PSA is running a pretty good deal on frames. I think I paid like $55 for this frame. Complete frame, how can you go wrong? And I just bought another one, and I had another build. Basically, I actually got a Glock 23 complete upper, and I fitted it on a full size. This is the compact. I fitted it on a full size. I'll show you guys that one later on. That was ice cream compared to this. This one is literally like a marvel of engineering to get this thing to work and get it to fit and redesign things and measure and use it. You know, you have to have the knowledge, and you have to have the tools, and you have to have the measuring equipment to do things like this. And it's, people say, why did you bother? And I'm just like, because I wanted to see if it could be done. And I plan on, with my limited capabilities as far as access to tooling and whatnot, it's you know, it's all shady tree mechanic stuff, but it just comes down to skill and patience. I just wanted to see how close to an OEM I could come to. I mean, in the finished product, and I think we're, except for the little bit of, you know, uneven marks, and I'm not going to call them chatter marks on the inside of the slide. You know, I mean, you can only do so much when you have a homemade mill and this, that, and the other thing. But that doesn't really matter, honestly. That's cosmetic. And out here, it's got it where it counts inside, but it's got it where it counts outside also. So there you go. I'm going to wrap it up. There's my Smith & Dagger Glock & Wesson. This would be a G19 size, but in this case it is a 40. So it's a Glock 23 size. Exactly. All right, well, if you guys get any comments, any questions, by all means, please leave them down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and please thumbs up. So when I have any more updates, and I will have another update or two on this pistol, because I have to do my firing pin fitment, and then after that it's going to be off to the range. So if you want to be notified about that, like, subscribe, please thumbs up, leave your commentary behind. Whatever it is, good or bad, I want to hear it. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Thank you all again for watching. Have a great rest of your night, and happy Friday.